You're listening to the Team Stripes podcast.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to episode 87 of the Team Stripes podcast, proudly presented by ACME Whistles, helping you make the big call since 1870. The legendary ACME Thunderer is now available in matte black. ACME Whistles, proudly associated with the NHL since 1917. As always, I am joined by my co-host, Ross. Ross, how are you today? How are you this week? How's it going?
Good, dude. I'm good. First, I gotta say, I'm glad that you and the other guys survived Snowmageddon. It seemed like it was the end of the world in Texas and the whole rest of the United States, except for Florida, because we chose not to participate. I'm pretty sure our governor told Jack Frost to F off in true Governor DeSantis fashion. So we did not participate in Snowmageddon. So I'm happy to have you on. It was a little lonely last week. Had a really good interview with Joe Ernst, Senior Vice President of the ECHL, which is on our YouTube page. We will get the audio up for the audio side of the podcast for that for our non-YouTube listeners.
Mm-hmm.
We've just kind of been slacking. But
That's
that
on
interview
me.
with Joe was unreal. He's an awesome dude. Definitely going to have him on again to focus more on just some stories over the development stuff that we talked about. Glad to have you back. Nice to talk to you. I missed you last week. Glad we're doing this again this week.
Yeah, obviously, the other two hosts are not here today. Both of them had this thing called work come up.
Work.
Yeah.
Isn't that a 4-letter word?
Yeah, I don't, all I do is referee. But so we told them, like, hey, like, not a big deal. So they'll both be back next week for sure. Still trying to figure out scheduling. I promise they'll be on the show. As for Snowmageddon, though, Texas was, and I read it today, 4 minutes and 37 seconds away from complete blackout. So the whole Texas grid, like Texas has its own energy grid, and it was 4 minutes away from complete and utter failure. The whole state of Texas would have been blacked out apparently for months.
Oh.
So thankfully, we avoided that. Where I am, I mean, my apartment was fine for the most part. We lost power. I think the longest time was like 12 hours. So it's not like we got, below freezing in the apartment. At least it was one chilly night, but you just layer up. But
yeah,
it was a fun week. It was nice because, all hockey was canceled. So didn't have to skate for a whole week, which was crazy. But
that's a vacation for you.
Oh, dude, I didn't know what to do with myself. I was just
this week is killing me because it's the first week without the hub city when it started on the 6th of January and went till last Wednesday.
So you're finally done.
Yeah, so I'm done doing that stuff, and I'm like, what do I do with my free time?
Right.
Well, I know. You know what I've done the last 2 days? Clean my house.
Oh, I have to do that too. Like the second I get off this podcast, that's what I'm doing. But no, it was funny though, because this week, so we have state playoffs I guess they start Friday for us.
Yep. Same
so here. It's one of those weeks where we've had a few like regular season games that for the most part are quote unquote meaningless because everything's wrapped up. Everybody, like, standings are all figured out. It's, the first place versus the worst place. Yeah. So had an easy week, but this weekend will be fun. And I am more than sure that next week, me, Ross, Cameron and everybody that's on this podcast will have one or two stories next week from
the weekend
from state playoffs.
I have 3 games on Friday, all referee spots, 2 U14s and a U18.
Ooh. Yeah, I think I go.
I'm like, wait a second. I'm not reffing all 3 of these 3-man, am I? And it's 4-man, which is cool. I definitely love my 4-man games. And especially the U18 game is going to be fun because I think we have a crew of 4 ECHL guys on the game.
Oh, awesome. Somebody's still gonna bitch though that you guys aren't good.
Of course.
Because what do you guys know, right? It's not like you guys went to Coast League. Yeah, no, I'm pretty pumped about my schedule. So we 4-man everything except for 10 and 12U. We 3-man those. And so last year was the first.
3-man in a 10U game.
Okay, wait, like hold on.
Is that like going out for a public skate? You just kind of skate around?
Okay, so last year I got to do the championship game for 10U on the lines, and I remember getting the assignment.
Timeout, stick that on top of your resume.
Oh.
Referee, U10.
No, linesman.
Oh, you lined it.
Oh, I lined it. And so
I hope you brought out some hand warmers.
Well, so when I first got like the assignment, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, come on. Like, okay, yes, it's an honor to get the game, but like, really? Yeah. Like, I couldn't even maybe get the Pee Wee game. But so honestly, most fun I ever had lining a hockey game, though. The kids were just buzzing. I remember we went to overtime. It was sick.
Oh my goodness.
That's so great. This year, assignments come out. All weekend, I'm doing 14s, 16s, 18s. And then come Sunday, I get the squirt championship game again. And I was like, oh boy, here we go. I'm reffing it. I got the call up.
Oh shit.
I know. I got the call up.
That's the biggest game of your life.
Oh, I'm so excited for it.
Scouts are gonna be there.
I hope so.
I might have to put in a couple of phone calls to figure out how to get Wacom to watch you work.
Right? Like I am like when it came out, I literally texted. We have a big group chat of guys here, and I was like, I don't think you guys understand. Like I'm actually excited to skate this game. Because I'm like, this is just gonna be a blast.
Yeah.
But
I have no idea what to do.
Oh, I no clue, but I'll go out for a Sunday skate and call a penalty or two.
We got a guest coming on here.
Oh, is Jess here?
Yes, she is. I'm going to admit her to the room right now.
Let's do it.
All right. So joining us on the podcast is Miss Jess Herman. Hi, Jess.
Hi.
Hey, what's up?
What's going on? Just hanging out. Back to my regular life.
Back to your regular life now that the junior craziness is over?
Pretty much, dude. I just get home, leave for hockey, come back, work hockey, and I'm just like trying to study while I can. You know what I mean?
Yep. Because you're in EMT school, so
yeah, I take my big exam tomorrow, so I'm just like, all right, here we go.
Well, we won't keep you long.
Awesome.
And for listeners, the reason we have Jess on this week, obviously she's been on the podcast in the past. Jess got to do something huge this weekend. She got to work her first 2 Division I NCAA women's hockey games.
Heck yeah.
So, Jess, let's talk about it. What was it like?
I don't know what I was expecting, but that wasn't what I was expecting, not even in a bad way. Like, I think my brain was just jumping everywhere because I literally had just been doing junior games. And then all of a sudden I'm like, all right, now people are going to be watching from every angle, like literally cameras everywhere. Before, in the middle of with a minute left in warmups, my partner's like, yeah, we got to go check the replay system. And there's literally a person in a little corner that's got cameras on every which angle. And I'm like, all right, this is legit. So that was a bit of a shock, which I was like, oh, this is pretty dang cool.
That's amazing. Did you get to use the replay system?
So it's funny. One of my partners, one of the linesmen, you can review penalties only if it's a major. If it's a minor and you missed it, it is what it is. So one of the linesmen felt that there was a major head contact. So we reviewed that. Was totally incidental contact. But what's nice about the replay system is if it was a major, you could review it, which was so. Got off in the middle of after a play, went to the camera, got to view it from at least 4 different angles. And we were like, yeah, I don't have anything there.
That's awesome.
Right. It was fun. I worked with one person I knew, and then I had 2 other people that I just met, but they made me feel very comfortable. Right when I got out there, it wasn't hey, you're the newbie. The only part that they made it be known that I was the newbie, I had to do a hot lap, not only
once, hot lap you?
But twice, dude. And I'm like, that's so embarrassing because everyone knows. Even if you don't know, everyone knows, oh, they must be the new person. So of course, for warm-ups, you need to have one official on the ice. So I was like, I'm not going first. And my partner goes, absolutely you are. I'm like, nah, dude, I know where this is going. So of course, here comes me doing my little hot lap. And then they did it. And then for the start of the game after warm-up, officials go on first. They made me do it again. I'm like, guys, come on. My ego is now in cement.
You know what though? You'll never forget getting hot lapped, and that's not a bad reason to get hot lapped.
No, it was probably the most nerve-wracking time I've ever touched the ice because I'm like, I'm going to eat shit right here. That's how I felt, but we made it through without falling, thankfully.
And I know, like, when I was talking to you during the week leading up to it, you're like, I'm excited, I'm nervous, I'm this and that. And I was like, hey, look, you're going to be for the first couple minutes. And then it's going to hit you, hey, it's just another hockey game.
Pretty much.
Is that what happened?
Basically, after puck drop, it was more so like, oh my God, I've done this like 1,000
puck, by the way.
They made me drop the puck as well. Dude, they made me do everything rookie style. So, but like the cool part about it was the guy I was reffing with, John Sandos, he asked, like, they have like professional photographers for the girls.
Mm-hmm.
Since I was dropping the puck, they took a photo of me and it was like, oh, like, thank you so much, because they didn't have to do that. You know what I mean? And they went out of their way and they even sent it to my email. And I was like, I really appreciate this because it's something that like I'll never forget. And now on top of it, I've got memorabilia of it.
Yep. You got a puck. You got some pictures.
Yeah, I got a puck. It's so funny. So like at the end of the first period, I went to grab the puck because I wanted a game used puck. And my partner goes, no, that's not the puck you dropped the first period for. And he already had it in his pocket. It went out of play and he made the bench give it to him. And I'm like, wow, you guys are freaking awesome.
Yeah, John's a good dude. I've known him a long time.
Yeah, John was cool. I worked with this guy named Batty is his nickname. Z was the linesman, Jacqueline Z. Howard. And then I worked with another kid. God forgive me. I think his name was Brenden. He was the local guy, but everyone was super awesome and like just made like, hey, you're here for a reason. Like you don't need to prove anything to us. Just do your thing. And that was probably one of the most like relieving feelings, was just having like, because you know how it can be sometimes. Like you always want your team to be your best friends, or like you want to get along with them, but sometimes it's just you're not all on the same page. For the first time meeting these people, they literally were like, no, like you're obviously here for a reason. You deserve to be here. Just do your thing. And I was like, thank you. Like, you never met me before. And you're literally just like being like, nah, you got this. And I'm like, that means a lot. Because, you
get assigned these games for a reason. And whether it's, working your, doing D1, which now you have a long career of doing D1 ahead of you.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. And like, I know for myself, when it came to when I started out in the Southern Pro League, my first game was with a guy who I'd never met before, one of my best friends. And then from there, the first season, I would say, like half the time I didn't know the two guys I was working with. Mm-hmm. But you go out there, you rely on the system, and you were doing 4-man or 4-person. Be politically correct. But you're out there, you're a referee, you both know the mechanics of the 2-referee system, and you're out there, you just do your thing and call your game.
Heck yeah.
And
pretty much.
And the further along you go, like, and you're going to start seeing the same people over and over again.
Yeah.
And then that's what makes it even better is, hey, how you doing? Where are we going after the game? That kind of stuff.
It's so funny because I went out to eat both times after both games with the whole crew. And it was like, it wasn't the first time meeting them, even though it was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was very natural. And it's like, oh, like, this is so awesome. Like, I don't know what I was expecting, but that's not what I was expecting. And it was awesome. Everything about it was absolutely awesome.
And you mentioned that one of the things that I think me and Brenden have talked about with guys on the podcast in the past was like one of our first interviews together with me and Brenden, we had on Mike Miggins, and I never talked to the guy before in my life. Now, granted, we haven't worked together yet, but within 5 minutes, it's like we were best friends because we like know all the same people.
Absolutely.
So, and I'm sure it was, the same for you. You get in there, and I mean, you knew one of the girls, and then, but like, and we all have these same experiences, obviously doing different things. But when we're out there together, it's like, man, I've known these people my whole life, and I just met them 10 minutes ago.
It's funny because like you catch yourself doing things, and it's like all of a sudden I look across the ice, and Sandos is like. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, what's up, dude? Like, you're here too.
So we'll talk about the game itself. I think you had a 1-0 game.
But did you hear what the shots were? This is the best part.
Go for it.
So the first day was 1-0. Robert Morris, Sacred Heart. The shots were 74-13.
Oh,
that's no exaggeration.
74 shots.
So Robert Morris had 74 shots. Sacred Heart had 13. So like.
They scored 1 goal on 74 shots.
They call her the goalie for Sacred Heart. Her name is Frankie, and they called her Frank the Tank. I now know why they call her Frank the Tank.
That's unreal.
Right? And then the next night, it wasn't the same outcome. I'm sure the shots were relatively the same, but Robert Morris shut the game down. It was 8-0.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, they smoked them. But I don't know how to explain it. Like, it wasn't like I know the shots and whatnot. It If you watch the game, it didn't look like that. Does that
Yeah,
make
it
sense?
probably didn't feel as far apart as it really
Correct.
was.
Like, what's funny is the first night when it was 1-0 and then I saw the shots, I was like, no way. And like,
Yeah.
they're accurate. I would tell the goal and I'd give the assist and the guy gave me the look. He's like, you don't have to worry about the assist. Like, we have people that do that. I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm so used to men's league where everybody wants their points. So it was just wild. It's funny because I only work girls hockey usually like twice a year, districts and nationals.
Yep.
I knew about a handful of the girls on the ice from doing districts and nationals, right? I was just like, what a small world. Like,
Yeah. Well,
I definitely worked your game last year.
Yeah, for sure.
Just wild.
That's cool. And I'm sure they made you feel welcome out, the girls you did know.
Absolutely. It's funny because even though they knew I was new, I wasn't treated that way.
Yeah.
And a big thing, it's funny because while we were in Tampa, Jay Durfee, the big thing he was like, I want you to work on, for some reason, even after all this time, I have a tendency where if I call, like, in my opinion, the most obvious penalty, but someone still has to question it, I'm like, what do you mean? How is that a penalty? And then I'll go on my, like, this is why it's a penalty.
Yeah.
Jay's big thing was, hey, stop explaining 2-minute minors.
Yep.
So that over the weekend, I called my penalties and I did not explain a penalty if it was 2 minutes. I was like, there's no reason to. And that was that. There was one situation where the coach thought it was a hand pass that led to a goal. And I immediately, like, I knew what play he was talking about. I didn't have a hand pass, but out of respect, because it's a goal, I went over to my linesman. He goes, absolutely not. I have the same play. So I went over to the coach and I explained why, and he was okay. A situation like that,
Yeah.
I'd rather finish that conversation than compare to a penalty. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's something for me too. Like when I'm reffing, and I had an example of this past weekend for myself. We're not talking about minors.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, there might be a minor to talk about.
Right.
Which in my case was one, we're going to show the clip later on in the podcast. We had a check from behind, basically a cross check from behind into the goalpost with 40 seconds left in the game in a 1-goal hockey game. And of course, the team that's winning does it. And then the team that's losing ties the game with 5 seconds left.
Love it.
Because that's just how it goes.
Of course.
But the coach is like screaming at me. And I'm like, how are we even going to talk about this? Like, you saw what your kid did. So you do have to keep that in mind when, there are occasionally times where you will go talk about a minor, but for the most part, throw your arm in the air, blow a whistle, make your signal, go to the box, skate away.
Yeah. And that's that.
Yep. That's the end of it.
Yeah.
You have nothing to prove. And that's the biggest thing with people is when you get as you're moving up the ranks, male, female, doesn't matter what it is. There's a reason why your assigner put you there.
Right.
They think you're good enough. So you don't have to prove to everybody or prove to anyone that you are.
Right.
Just go out there and do your thing.
That's exactly what Jay was saying. Jay was like, hey, like, this is just another hockey game. And he goes, at the end of the day, you know what you're doing. So like, why question your own self on that?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Easier said than done, but.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then how hard was it for you transitioning from, doing the boys hockey for a month and a half, and then I haven't seen a women's game in forever, and now I got to go call a women's game?
It's funny because it's like, I try and tell people they're two completely separate games. Of course, like the idea
it's almost a different sport when you really think about it.
Of course, like you have the same goal. You want to get the biscuit in the net.
Yes.
But like, it's, in my opinion, I think it's completely different. And sometimes I have to it's so funny because when I have this conversation, they're like, what do you mean it's a different game? I'm like something that I would not call in a men's game, sometimes you have to call in a women's game, because women's, it's more so like mechanics because they can't body check.
Yeah.
And in guys, you body check, separate player from puck. So I have to sometimes remind myself, like, hey, like, they're not allowed to check out here. And granted, like, I do know that, like, I know the fine line between body contact and body checking, but there's just like, we had a situation at the end of the game where there was like 12 seconds left. This girl, one-on-one battle, and the coach was hysterical, yelling at me for a hook. And I'm like, oh my God, I'd never call that. Like, that's a 20-second penalty. And then I have to really think about the mechanics and be like, all right, so like we're in a girls' game. Does it really make a difference in this situation? I'm like, no. But I guess when it comes to the physicality level, I have to take a step back and say, hey, like, this is no longer guys hockey. This is now girls hockey. I don't know if I explained that well enough, but it is a completely different game, and like a switch has to go off in my head.
Since you bring up a hook, like, is a hook different in a women's game than it is in a men's game?
Not necessarily. I guess it's more so the girls. So it was a one-on-one battle. Attack player has a good foot on the defending player going into the zone. So the defending player goes around, hits puck, and then they're both going. She hits puck first. She doesn't hook or trip the attacking player, and their skates collided, and they fell. I don't have any, right? And I don't have anything. And the coach is yelling at me because he did, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, she
went
in and hit the puck. He's like, how do you not have a hook there? I'm like, I don't have hook there, one, because she didn't impede her progress whatsoever. There wasn't a change of possession. And at the end of the day, like, their skates clipped. Like, I don't feel worthy of a 2-minute penalty giving it a trip, nor a hook, because she did not hook the other player. So I guess also you got to realize, like, coach is way over yonder far side bench, and here I am watching the play from a completely different angle. So just
from his angle, it might have looked like it, but because they're
absolutely, and I could totally get that, because I'm sure if I was the other angle, I'd think, holy smokes, how is there not a hook there? And it's like, because there wasn't. But no, I get excited to work girls hockey, even though, like, of course I love reffing guys hockey, but I don't ever get to do it.
Well, moving forward, you're definitely going to be getting to do more and more of it, I'm sure.
I really hope so.
Did you hear anything back from any of the supervisors or anything? Or
so a supervisor called me, and the one thing that I needed to work on, which he told me after my first game, so which was nice, is that I had a second game, so I made sure of it to think about it actively in my second game, was he said, like, really good penalty selection, but for some reason I guess I get afraid to, like, working positioning, like the golden triangle near the goal, near the net. I get afraid that I'm going to get in the way. And he goes, why are you worried about that when you know how to skate, you know how to use your edges? Like, you're totally qualified. So he said to work on moving closer to the net, because if something happens around there, like a scrum, you're so much more capable of justifying a situation if you're right there.
Yeah, that makes sense. So he's basically telling you need to be more on home base.
Correct. Right. So that's what I worked on. That was
then closer to the boards.
Right. He said, don't get lost in the corner. He goes, nobody sees you in the corner and you're the referee. Like, people are looking, like, they know a whistle's about to happen when a scrum's happening in front of the net. And how can you justify your call if you're too far in the corner? And I was like, oh, like, touche. I totally get that. So my second game on Sunday, I actively worked the goal line and made sure, hey, like, if it's a cross on the other side, get up in there. Like, you're capable of moving quick enough. And it's funny because the goalie for Sacred Heart, when it, like, she would make a save, put the puck down and debate on playing it. So if she debated, I obviously held on my whistle. And so it was just situations where it would be loose. And if I was too far away, I would have not have known it was loose. So I'm happy that happened, because I was very patient on my whistle.
Well, and that's a good thing to talk about for our listeners, is that goal line positioning. Like, that's something that I think all of us can get better at, is moving around. And I think something to think about, they're bringing up being closer to the net on those close plays. If you're staying more towards home base and you are back against the boards, you have that option to get to the net quicker. And then two, like, using the whole golden triangle, if the puck's above the, if puck is above the goal line, you kind of work up a little bit higher, not necessarily staying right on the goal line. Puck goes below the goal line, go below the goal line, so you have your vantage point. And then obviously too, in the 4 official system, when you get pushed, just go behind the net. Like, don't turn your back to the play, especially because, like, you're a good enough skater to where you can just keep it coming at you, do your C cuts, go around behind the net. But don't be afraid to work the entire area that you have, that you're allowed to. You're not just, hey, I'm going to stand here in the corner, I'm just going to hang out.
Right. That's what he said. That's what Gino was telling me. He was like, hey, like, you just, I don't want you getting lost or stuck in the corner. There's no reason for it. And just like you said, you use what you got. If you need to go behind the net, so be it. Do it. That's what's nice about the 4-man system. Even if you're not doing a 4-man system, but you know what I mean?
Yep.
Get your
Oh,
vantage.
for sure. Brendan, you got anything for Jess?
Yeah, Ross told me it was a pretty cool story on how you got told you were going to like start skating these games. Can you share that with everybody?
So there's a little bit of a backstory. Last year when I went to Boston, I worked a couple junior games for one of our assigners, Gene. He does all the college assigning for the girls, and he saw me work one of my junior games. And after the game, he goes, "Hey, I would like to speak with you." And usually, like they tell you what you need to work on, and like you're always afraid you're gonna get told like you suck. I'm like, oh my god, shit! Like I just came from Florida. This guy's gonna be like, you're trash. So that's literally what I thought. And he goes,
Okay, Forky.
right. He goes, I absolutely love you. I want you to work my college games tomorrow. I would have signed you last year if I could. And if you know him, that's like pretty much what he sounds like. And I'm more so like, wait, what? Like, what's going on? Here I am. I just love to do a couple junior games. So I'm like, heck yeah. He literally gave me the patches for the leagues within that talk of the conversation. Within 5 minutes, I had the patches. So unfortunately, like 2 months later, COVID happened.
Yeah.
So nobody was getting flown out for the games. Like they were only using locals and people that
Well, life got in the way.
pretty much. So I was like, oh, like whatever. Like I'm not mad about it. It happens. And then I guess luckily the Tampa, the USBHL bubble happened, and the supervisor Gino and his good friend Jay both went down to Tampa. So I was working my games there. I worked with Jay, his good friend, a lot of the games, and he's like a legend. He worked the Beanpot last year. So if you want to be friends with anyone, that's who you want to be friends with. So I'm working a crap ton of games with this guy, and he's like, dude, like, I love it. You're gonna be awesome. You're gonna work college soon. And the girl season's about to end. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, I'll believe it when it happens. Like, thanks so much. Just hearing you say that I'm going to one day, like, means the world to me.
Yeah.
All right. So a couple weeks later.
Real quick on Jay, I remember him saying something like, I was on the ice with her and a player said something to her and she gave it right back to him. And I was like, that's my girl.
Dude, excuse my French, I don't take no shit from players. Like, you're not going to intimidate me. Like, there comes a certain line when I'll give you the rule book back and just go sit for 10. But like, I've been doing this for way too long where you're not like I said, you're not going to hurt me. I'm like, you want it, I'll give it right back, buddy. So
for those watching the podcast, I currently have a dog that has joined me.
So to about, I don't know, maybe like 2-3 weeks after doing a couple of the junior games in the bubble, I get a phone call at about 8:30 in the morning from Gene Binda, and he goes, what are you doing next week? And I'm like, I'm working games for you in Tampa. He goes, not anymore. I'm sending you to Pittsburgh. I'm like, wait, what? What's in Pittsburgh? He goes, you're getting your first Division I game. So little story after that. I didn't plan on telling anyone. I was going to tell my mom, my boyfriend, my sister, and like that was it, because I didn't want to say anything until after it happened. That's just
then he sent out the blast email.
Of course he did. Like, I'm just I try and stay humble person. Like, until it happens, then I'll tell people.
I would have been very mad at you if you went and did it and didn't tell me beforehand.
I just like, I don't know, like, because some people want to work these leagues, and here I am, little Florida girl, and they're about to fly my ass way over there for like nothing. I didn't pay for anything. Like, who am I to like shove that in someone's face? So of course he sends the email and he goes, very rarely do we get to like tell our accomplishments, something like that. Yeah. Over 300 people.
Yep, and I'm sure your phone blew up right away.
Absolutely. And like, it was awesome, especially because like I wasn't the one who said it, so it was like even better, you know what I mean? I was like, I really appreciate it because it meant a lot to me. Like, I love the hockey I do. People ask me what I usually work, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I usually work beer league, and like, I absolutely love it. So getting these opportunities other than beer league and getting to go fly around and work hockey because somebody thinks I'm capable, it means the world to me. Like, I never, ever thought that this would be in my cards. I never thought that. I'm
just happy that somebody finally noticed you. Because I've been telling you for the last few years, like, watching you grow up and watching you turn into the official that you have has just been a pleasure. And then now finally you getting to go off and do this, like, you know, I wish you nothing but the best. Like,
I really appreciate that.
Moving forward, like, hopefully now the next goal a few years from now is going to be that women's Frozen Four. That's
my next, for me personally, my goal is I want to work an international assignment. I think I'm finally going to take the the leap of faith and do I think
Do it.
camp or something like that. Yeah. I've had enough people now where it was always me that I wanted to do it, but now I'm having other people of higher levels than USA Hockey telling me do it. So
Yes.
it's I guess somewhere along the road people think I'm finally capable.
Yeah. Well, it's not that you're finally capable, it's you've matured enough and you've seen enough hockey now at this point that it's time.
Yeah. It's wild to think about because I remember when it was in my 5-year plan and now it's coming towards where I'm trying to do those goals that were in my 5-year plan. And I finally feel like, I don't know if confidence the right word. It probably is. I finally feel confident, like, hey, like you can do this. Like it's not a matter of thinking anymore. It's like I know I can do these things and it's just I guess proving it to other people, but then at the same time, like
just prove it to yourself.
Yeah,
and
basically,
also
like,
fall into place.
and I'm not a resume person. Like, I think a big thing is a lot of people like to show their resume. Like, look what I've worked, look what I've done.
Yeah.
I'd rather just my skating show you my resume. Like,
Yep.
watch me skate, and that'll give you a good enough resume.
That's the right way to do it, and that's the best attitude you can have. And I hope those of you that are listening, if you're in a position where you're trying to move up, like this is just a perfect example of, hard work and dedication to the craft does pay off. Someone's going to see you eventually. If you are good enough, you are going to move up to the next level. You don't necessarily have to go looking for it.
Mhm.
You don't have to run your mouth, say, oh, I've done this, that, and the other thing. It's more of work your butt off, and I guarantee you the good things will happen to you. You never know who's going to walk in the rink.
See, that's one of my favorite lines. Stacy Livingstein, a female official, she worked the Olympics. I couldn't tell you what year, but
06.
I was working a girls' game at Districts, and I was definitely like capable of skating it. I was being lazy because I could skate laps around these girls, nothing against them. So I was being extremely lazy. And all of a sudden after the game, a female that I had never met before walks into the locker room and she goes, excuse me, like, why are you not skating? Why are you being lazy? And here I am. I'm like, oh my God, like, who are you? She goes, and she's like, I know you're capable of this, but here I am walking into a rink and I see how lazy you're being. Let alone, behold, I find out she worked the Olympics, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm a schmuck.
And she skated the gold medal game that year.
Yeah, and here I am, basically told like, hey, I can tell how lazy you look right now. And after that kind of just stuck in my brain, and like all officials have this conversation eventually where we're like, hey, you look lazy. We know you can do it, but like you look like an ass. Like figure it out. So that was a big thing for me, and it's funny at the end of the week, like I worked. And then, of course, she went to my supervisor, Dewey, and she was like, hey, I want her to work my game. I worked her game. And then, of course, let alone behold, I worked my butt off and I worked the championship game. But so I guess you can say that stuck in my brain, and I probably will not do that again.
Yep. You never know who's watching.
Really never do. It could be the gold medal official.
Yep. Brenden, anything?
No, I mean, obviously, congrats for getting D1. That's sick. So just congrats.
Yes, congratulations, Jess. Thank you for giving us a few minutes of your time today.
Of course.
We know you got a big EMT test.
Thank you.
Get ready for.
So,
go study, go knock that out of the park, get all that taken care of. Enjoy the rest of your day.
I'm going to study, and then I'm going to men's league.
Yeah, true. Are you here
this D1 life? Dude, I got a 2 set tonight for men's league. Like the grind never stops.
It doesn't. And I get to see you this weekend, right? You're coming up?
I'll be there Friday morning. I'm coming early, so I'll call you.
Okay. Yeah, just call me in the morning. I don't skate I skate at 2 or 3. But yeah, just call me in the morning.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, Jess. We'll catch you later.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Jess.
Bye.
Well, guys, that was Jess Herman joining us off her high of working D1 for the first weekend ever. And, that weekend of D1 for her is the first of many. Nothing but big things coming for her.
Yeah, and really quick before we move on, that interview was sponsored by SIG Hockey. SIGHockey.com is the newest source for pro stock, NHL, and NCAA hockey gear. SIG Hockey is offering Team Stripes listeners 10% off their first purchase with code STRIPES10. That's STRIPES10 for 10% off your order at SIG Hockey. That's SIG, SIG hockey.com. Yeah, I mean, congrats to Jess 1000%. These stories are the best. I mean, she works her butt off for how many years, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, here's 2 D1 games, like have fun. I mean,
Yep.
that's awesome.
It is. And it can be done. That's for sure.
There is one thing that I have been itching to talk about, Ross,
Yes.
since I believe it would have been Saturday night.
Okay.
Somebody in our forum, the ice hockey like officials forum, I can't tell you the exact name of it, posted a video of a play from the semi-pro Austrian league.
Oh, where I was like it was like 2 a.m. I couldn't sleep and I was like, oh, I want to go ref in Australia.
I
I woke up and you're like, it's Austria. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I was so freaking tired. I couldn't fall asleep. I had just gotten done doing my 2 junior games, couldn't fall asleep, and I thought it's so like, you know how like when you're reading something, the first and last letter is like, so it starts with an A and ends with an A.
Yep.
Some of the letters in the middle, like you don't actually read. Like your brain skims through things so quick. I thought it said Australia.
I am not gonna lie. So I read the post and then I see your comment and I was like, oh, I wonder what Ross had to say. And then I see Australia and I was like, I remember I was talking to my girlfriend and I looked at her and I was like, he knows there's the difference, right? Like he knows. And she's like, he's got to know. Like he's got to know.
Oh yeah, I do. It's just it was funny because like you've seen that thing on whether it goes Facebook or Instagram, the poster. It's like the brain is an amazing thing.
Yep.
Words are jumbled, but the first and last letter are correct. It doesn't matter because your brain is just going to make assumptions and you're going to be able to read it right. And it's all jumbled, but within like the first 3 words, like your brain's already in that mode.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what it was. And I was just honestly, I was dead tired.
I mean, if you wanted some good news, there is professional hockey in Australia.
I know
you
there
could
is,
go
actually.
skate.
A bunch of the guys when I was working in the SP full time, when the season would end, they'd all go down there
Because the season would just start.
Yeah, because the season was starting.
Yeah, no, I absolutely got a massive chuckle out of that. I mean, I've definitely done that before too when I was little, but I had to laugh at that.
All right, so I guess where should we start?
Do you want to start with the latest news today?
Actually, I was just going to make a minor announcement as far as sponsorships go. We do have a new partner. It is the Hockey Ref Shop. We been talking to Eric about some things, and yeah, so they're going to be our new partner. So if anyone needs any equipment, especially our American-based officials who listen, they're going to be basically our official American equipment retailer. So if you need anything from pants, whistles, jerseys, you name it, he's got it. Shin tights. He's got this super awesome reversible jersey. It is, and actually a couple of the guys that live here have them. One side it's a linesman sweater. You flip it inside out. It's a referee sweater. It's got Velcro on both sides. So if you have a set where you're reffing one line in one and only want to bring one ref jersey, you get that bad boy. And yeah, you only have to bring one jersey to the rink with you. It's a pretty sweet deal. So yeah, Eric at Hockey Ref Shop, they're our official US shop for equipment. We'll have an actual read from them here pretty soon. I'm working with him on that. But yeah, that's we have that going on,
which is awesome.
We got some things in the pipes. We're going to do another round of these guys.
Yep.
They're going to be slightly different, kind of our own little unique Team Stripes twist to them, and I think everyone will enjoy them. So, and we have another dog visiting us.
I will say for the, I guess, second round of what will be the jerseys, the mock-ups that I've seen have looked sick.
Yes,
I want them.
Anyone that, now this was a while ago, but for anyone that remembers what the Central Hockey League did years ago with their referee sweaters, that is what we're doing with them. I'm not going to be specific, but that's all I'm going to say. I'll let you guys maybe try to do a little research on something unique that the Central Hockey League did back when it existed with their referee sweaters.
It's a mix of new school plus old school.
Yes, it is.
And that's sick.
Yep. So yeah, I guess we can start with the Montreal Canadiens firing Claude Julian.
Yeah. I would say surprisingly.
Ducharme. I'm assuming his last name is said Ducharme. It is French, so that's
Yeah. I mean, I would say it was all but surprising because I mean they played last night. They lost to Ottawa 5-4 in a shootout. They blew a lead. But I mean, Montreal's still in a playoff spot. They're 3 points ahead of Calgary in the 4th place spot right now. So I don't know, a weird firing to say the least, in my opinion.
Well, they lost 6 of 8. It's one of those things like where there's smoke, there's fire, and you got to get rid of somebody. So
I just don't think there is enough offensive firepower to compete, and I think that's what their issue was. They started off really hot. They were like 8-2-2. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely a weird firing or a surprising one, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I didn't see it coming.
I don't think any of us expected it, And of course, just to circle back to the hockey ref shop thing. Of course, Eric legit just sends me the read.
Well, do you want to dry read it right now?
I'm just going to do the read right now, and then we'll get back to the Claude Julian talk.
Let's do it.
All right, so here we go. Hockey Ref Shop is the official U.S. equipment supplier of Team Stripes. They carry a variety of referee products, including beginner packages, sweaters, pants, accessories, protective equipment, fun referee-themed products, and more. They pride themselves on having great service from experienced officials with super fast shipping. Visit hockeyrefshop.com today to place your order.
Oh, what? That 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Not bad for I'm not the best at reading out loud. I did not do very good at school at that, but not bad. We love the read, Eric. You'll definitely get a chuckle out of me reading it literally right as you sent it to me. So there you go. Now, so Hockey Ref Shop is our official United States supplier for equipment.
Which is awesome because they're great. I get all my jerseys from there.
Yep. Eric's a great kid. He's currently in the officiating development program.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I did reach out to Scott Zelkin. He told me to call him, but he's a busy guy. I tried calling him yesterday. I didn't get a hold of him. I'm sure I'll try again here soon. We're gonna have Scott on. Because I had said to Eric, I was like, hey, you want to come on the podcast? He's like, oh, man, I don't know. I know I've been on before, but, the program's kind of got us kind of tight on the social media and that kind of stuff. I'm like, I'll clear this. Yeah. So I email Z. I'm like, I'll just go right to the top. So it's like, hey, Scott, I was wondering if you had any issues with me having guys on that are currently in the ODP. Would love to have you on the podcast again. And his response was like, of course they can come on the podcast.
Yeah, we're also trying to get Keith Caval on.
Cavs is like the busiest guy on the flipping planet.
Yeah, it's him and Z are probably the two busiest guys in hockey, and maybe the scheduler Mono.
Well, I would say I would put Joe, Z, and Cavs like in the same category. Yep. Somehow we got an hour of Joe's time last week.
Yeah, so I'm thinking it's going to be an off-season interview. Yeah. Which is A-okay with all of us. So
yeah. And honestly, off season's kind of good for those interviews too, because we can really kind of dig into the nuances of what to expect when going to a USA Hockey summer camp, just what they're looking for when they're hiring somebody to work the ODP and all of that. So
yeah. Moving on to some different news, we have some really good news coming out of, I guess it would be Washington now, of all places. The King, Mr. Hendrik Lundqvist, has skated for the first time since getting heart surgery. I believe it was only like 2 months ago.
Nice.
So that's obviously some good news. He won't be back this season, but he's making his run, I guess, for next season to come back, which is awesome to say the least.
It's nice that he's doing well.
It is.
we definitely need him back in the game. That's for sure. He's a great goaltender. And obviously the best dressed player in the NHL.
Oh, he is.
So I did find out an interesting tidbit of information. Speaking of best dressed, I would definitely have to put Victor Hedman up there with Lundqvist. He's a defenseman for the Lightning. He's always got these super awesome suits on. Well, he gets his suits from the same guy that makes Ric Flair's ring jackets. Woo!
That's awesome. I think
Yeah.
it's like all the European guys dress just a little bit better.
Yeah. Oh, so GQ. It's not even funny.
Yeah, and I mean, like, the North American guys are catching up, but by far the Europeans started the trend.
Oh, 100%.
So, I mean, we have that to thank them when it comes to hockey.
Yep. Let's see here.
We need to talk about a big issue that happened in the Nashville-Columbus game. It would have been
yes.
Was it last week at this point?
Week. So big issue, or more so a unfortunate misadventure.
There was a big oopsie that led to another big oopsies.
Yeah. So basically what happened, Nashville, Columbus is up 1-0 in the game at this point. We have an end zone face-off, and off the face-off, the centers get locked up with the linesman, and the linesman somehow ends up basically screening the goaltender along with the two centers. And the puck, I believe, gets shot by the defenseman through the linesman's legs.
I thought it tipped off them.
And goes in the net. No, I don't think it hit him. Yeah, it said the linesman had obstructed the goaltender's view, but it did not make contact with him. Had it hit him, the goal would have been waved off because we're not allowed to score goals.
Unfortunately.
I know we always joke about kicking one in, but unfortunately, we're not allowed to do that.
Wow.
So the puck did not hit him. They did review it to make sure that it didn't hit him, even though, like for me, when the puck hits you.
Oh, 1,000%.
Very easily could have gone over there like, hey guys, it didn't hit me. It's just shitty. Bad place, bad time.
That it was funny when I saw that video pop up. I was like, that is everybody's worst nightmare. I mean, great job. He screened the goalie. It was a really well placed screen, and
it's funny because in the clip he skates right over to the referee like, I fucked up.
Yep. He's like, oopsies. No, that's one of those ones where you're just
it happens
it too.
And I will say this, based on who was playing in that game, thank God it wasn't Nashville that scored that goal.
Oh,
because the coach on the Columbus bench would have lost his mind.
Torts would have had to get tossed from that game.
100% Torts would have gotten tossed.
But here's the thing. You okay, yes, you can toss him, but you just fucked me down there, and now my team gave up a goal because of you,
mm-hmm.
And now you're going to toss me?
Yeah.
Oh, I would
Well, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it's not Galloway's fault or the linesman's fault. He just got pushed. He got pushed there. He got tied up. No, it happens. It's happened to all of us. This offseason, we were doing some video stuff with the Coast. And one of the videos, the linesman dropping the puck on the far side, he gets pushed all the way around behind the net and ends up on the near side.
Did they do the pinwheel?
Oh, yeah. The top linesman crossed. And of course, I chimed in, and they were like, what could we have done different? And I was like, we could have waited a little longer. And that's really it. Now, watching the clip, I don't think the linesman really he had nowhere to go.
No.
He was stuck. The two players' sticks were in his legs.
Yeah.
So there's nothing he could have done. Nothing. It just sucks that it happened.
And it sucks that it led to a goal.
Yeah.
If it was a save, we're not talking about it.
Yeah, no. If it's a save or it doesn't go
shot
in or
wide, whatever,
wide,
we're not talking.
Everyone forgets it even happened.
Yeah.
But just the fact that it went in the net and Soros is looking at him like,
they did. That just sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those breaks that you're just like, I hate hockey right now.
Yep.
And you just have to
And
eat it.
no one on the ice felt worse than he did.
No, yeah. And you just have to sit there and eat it. And you're just like, cool, like, sorry.
Yep. And that's all you can do is like, sorry guys, what do you want me to do? Watch the tape?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Another, I guess this would be a more funny thing that happened last night was in the Devils-Buffalo game, somebody scored an empty netter with 0.2 seconds left on the clock. So both teams said, we're done playing hockey and packed up their shit and left. And so the referees were standing at the referee crease with the linesmen and talking about, and like, well, we have 0.2 left on the board. And
we can't run it.
You know, it's the National Hockey League. You have to play the full 60 minutes. And so the camera cut away from the trainer, who's generally the last guy off the bench, walking down the tunnel to the 4 referees grabbing a puck. The linesman grabs the puck, looks at the boys, and he's like, well, I guess we have to drop it. Whoever the referee was blew his whistle to like initiate line changes, say we're done, blows the whistle.
Did he do the whole procedure?
Yeah. The other linesman stands where he's supposed to be standing. The one linesman goes to center ice, plops it down, horn goes off, picks up the puck, gives it back to the timekeeper. Nobody's on the ice. Nobody's even like in the rink at this point. Oh, nobody's in the rink at this point. And it's just the 4 refs on the ice.
You know what's really funny? They could have been real assholes and given the visiting team refusing to start playing.
Oh, dude, no, I would have been like, hey, I need 5 guys on the ice, please. Sorry, coach. I need 5 and a goalie.
That's happened.
Oh, yeah.
That's happened where both teams have left and they're like, hey, send 5 back.
Yeah, because we need to drop this puck. But no, it was absolutely hilarious. The only thing that would have made it better is had the guy dropping the puck gone down into like his full stance and everything.
Oh, that would have been great.
Because he just kind of went over and like did the whole drop the puck down.
Yeah.
It would have been great if he lined everything up perfectly, and it would have.
Did like
hilarious.
You line up, let's go.
Yep. It would have been hilarious.
Just real quick, the Dallas Stars at the time of this recording are leading the Panthers 1-0, and the Lightning are up on Carolina 1-0.
We're playing afternoon games in the National Hockey League?
Both games with 13 minutes left remaining in the first period. Yeah, dude, 5:00 hockey on a Wednesday. Let's go.
I'm sitting here. I was like, I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, it's only 4:20 here. Like, why are we playing hockey? I'm not mad about that. There's hockey on.
Yeah.
But no, that was I mean, look, I guess in the NHL you have to play the full 60 minutes, 0.2 seconds left, and that just it made me laugh when I saw that.
That's great. Something to talk about. Canucks Russell fined $5,000 for roughing on Oilers Puljujarvi. For no reason. He just play goes in the end zone, skates over and just starts beating the shit out of him. No reason.
You gotta do what you gotta do, I guess.
Yeah. Just starts feeding him. Puljujarvi's like, dude.
Yeah, because he's not a fighter by any means.
What are you doing right now?
Yeah. That was it was one of those clips that I saw, and you're just like, dude, like, what do you?
So he was only given a minor on the play.
Yeah, minor for rough.
Yeah. And then he got fined $5,000 as well. So 2 for roughing, $5,000 to the Players Assistance Fund, and thanks for coming.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they play either tonight or tomorrow night too. So.
Yeah. And then we have to wish a good recovery to linesman Devin Berg, who took a puck in the hand 2 days ago. It looks like he was putting his hands in place to protect the family jewels, and took the puck to the hand instead of taking one for the team, so to speak.
Smart decision, unfortunate.
Yeah, smart decision, unfortunate outcome. So then the remainder of the game, Ryan Daisy, USA Hockey ODP graduate and American.
Ooh.
Big shout out there. Ryan, who's also 6 foot everything. He's big kid. I wish I was that tall.
They got to 2-man it?
No, so
or
Ryan
2-1 it.
Ryan lined, and Timmy Peel and Kyle Rainman Riemann. They ref, so they went 2-1. Ryan dropped all the pucks. There were no penalties. Okay, so no further penalties were called, along with just one offside throughout the final 23 minutes. However, there were 6 icing calls. So Ryan had to skate down and go get it.
Yeah, you would almost think like one of the refs would do that for him, be a nice guy maybe.
Well, the back referee is supposed to, call the icing.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess they're focused on line changes maybe. Who knows? My question to you, this is, I guess, going off on a tangent. Have you ever worked a 2-1 system?
All the time.
Do you like it?
I'm 50-50 on it. Like when I'm I don't mind it as much as some guys do, because I'd rather have 2 guys on the ice calling penalties than 2 guys on the ice calling offsides.
So I 100% agree with that. It's just like the 2-1 I've never done.
So we do it here for all our Division III club hockey games for college. If you work it like it's written in the NCAA book, it gets kind of awkward. If you work it like it's 4-man without 1 linesman, it works right.
Yeah.
Now, when you're lining and playing monkey in the middle, it gets to be a little awkward sometimes because like the back referee is supposed to cover the back line for you. But if you have the wheels to get there, you make the line call. It's not terrible. I personally I'd rather ref 1 and 2 over 2 and 1. Yes. But there's a reason for it. And it's just like they don't want to pay for 4-man, but we don't necessarily have enough guys that can skate at that level by themselves. So like
I don't even think it's that. I think it's the fact that, hey, okay, sure, we do only want to pay 3 guys, which, okay, you save $100 or $150 there. Like, I get that. But I think it's also the bigger aspect of the fact that 2 guys are calling penalties makes the game so much easier for everybody involved.
Yep.
So to me, it makes sense. It's just a system I've never used.
I think if we were to go back, like for 3-man college games, going back to the 1 referee, 2 AR instead of 1 referee, 2 linesmen, basically in the 2 AR system, the 2 linesmen, obviously you're still responsible for your normal stuff. Now, what you would call as an AR is anything behind the play that warrants a penalty. So like if the referee's going up the ice and the guy just fucking cross-checks a guy. So we're calling that injury potential stuff in majors. I'll never forget, I was in Estero, so Fort Myers, for a Christmas tournament that we used to do. And there was a college game going on because there would be some NCAA teams that would come down for a winter showcase. Well, there was a check from behind in one of the end zones, and all 3 guys, so the referee and the 2 linesmen, all have their arm in the air. I'm like, that's dumb. Like, obviously, if the referee's got his arm up, there's no reason for the linesman to have their arm up too. But it's one of those things where I think if the ARs were used properly in a 1 and 2 system at the lower levels, I think just having ARs would be better.
So an AR is a linesman.
You're a linesman that can call penalties.
So I could call him either penalty.
Yes.
How do you, I guess, differentiate between who's an AR and who's a linesman?
Both linesmen are ARs.
Okay. So all of us can call penalties.
It's 1 referee and 2 ARs. All 3 guys on the ice can call penalties.
Okay.
So that was like the NCAA's way at the time of not going to 4-man. They're like, screw it, the linesman can call penalties too.
Then there's just 3 refs out on the ice.
Yeah, exactly. So basically your normal duties as a linesman, and then anything major behind the play or any major penalties, which is honestly, you're already calling that stuff anyway.
Yeah.
It just allowed you to put your arm in the air.
So then.
So delayed offside. So icing, you'd put your arm at a 45.
Oh, geez.
And then delayed offside was 1 arm straight up and 1 arm pointing down at the blue line.
Oh, my goodness. Don't.
That was how they were able to communicate that.
That would be dumb. But
That's
so
what it was.
okay, so then if you're banding and I'm the AR
Yep.
and there's a hook in center ice that somehow you don't see or you don't call, can I
Mhm.
call it?
Was it in front of me?
Yes.
No.
Interesting.
So the way it was basically set up was major penalties and shit behind the play.
Okay.
So as the back linesman, right, plays going the other way. Our job as the back linesmen is generally to stay on our line and keep an eye on the guys that are lollygagging out of the zone.
Yeah, always
And then
follow
the
him.
referee would go up the ice. Well, in the 2AR system, if let's say the referee skated beyond the play and he's watching everything in front, and then the back linesman has a guy cross-check a guy in the back or trip a guy, obstruct him from going and doing his job, we're calling that. Because what would happen in a four-man system?
That
The
would get
back
called.
referee would be calling that. So essentially you're the back referee, but anything that happens, any plays on the puck in front of the referee, you're not going to call something that he doesn't. Does
That's
that make
fair.
sense?
Yeah, I could just see that system being an absolute gong show.
As long as everyone's on the same page, it's fine. It's just when you get the one rogue AR out there throwing his arm up when the referee's like, "What the fuck you doing?"
To me, it wouldn't even be that. It would be the bigger issue of the back guys watching the two back guys, plays going hard into his partner's side. So in theory, you should be moving up to cover your partner's line, and you're not there, and then your partner gets stranded.
Oh, well, no, your linesman duties come first.
Oh, okay. So
yeah,
okay.
no. It's not like you're reffing. Like your linesman duties would come first. And then if you're there, you can help the referee by supplementing what he doesn't see.
Still a weird system that I'm glad we don't use.
It's a lot of teamwork. I did a lot of games under that system. I actually did call a couple of penalties as a linesman. Mostly like behind the play, I call a few majors.
But you would do that anyway, so
yeah, you just put your arm in the air instead of waiting till the whistle.
A stoppage. That is weird.
Actually, this weekend on Saturday, as a linesman, I called a DQ in a junior game for checking from behind.
Nice.
Because USPHL, we use the NCAA rulebook.
Yep.
And then the clip actually made it onto our weekly Zoom call.
Oh, look at you making clips of the week.
And I didn't even get to see it or talk about it because I had class.
Yeah, the ODP sends out clip like highlights of the week pretty much. And I always I don't even care if I worked like an NA3 game. I always watch them just to be like, oh, I wonder if I got on there this week for doing nothing, maybe I tossed the center, like, oh, maybe I'll get on this week.
Right. That's so funny. I actually need to get back on that distro list. I miss getting those weekly videos.
Dude, they're awesome. And I mean, they're good teaching tool too, because you can see what the standard they want.
Truth.
Which is awesome. Moving back to, I guess, a few clips from this week. I think there's 4 that I want to talk about.
All right, let me pull up our handy dandy social media stuff.
Yeah, they're on pick your poison of what social media you want, because they're on the Facebooks,
I'm
the
just gonna do
Instagrams.
the Instas because Insta's easy.
It really is and convenient. I have the Twitter pulled up though.
Okay, so the stick lift.
Yes. Again, it was Capitals Rangers. It was
so here's what I have. I wrote nothing on the Facebook, on the Instagram. So on this play, I feel like the Capitals player was not violent enough in coming from underneath to warrant a penalty. Yes, the stick goes flying, but buddy, you need to hold on to your stick tighter than that.
Yeah.
I don't think it was violent enough to call anything there.
So it's funny because this was actually a clip from the ODP's clip of the week, like not even a week ago. I think it would have been like this Friday that came out. And apparently it's a tactic that is now being used a lot in hockey.
Yeah, but
for me, it's got to be like stupid violent. Like you are coming up from 17 zip codes away and trying to just dislocate this guy's arm to take his stick off.
Watch it. He doesn't lift it very hard.
My thing is
The guy
why
just like has the stick in his hands, like, oh look, there goes my stick.
my thing is why does he have to do that stick lift? There's no point.
I mean, I know there's no point, but there's also no reason not to.
But the guy's stick is in the air. He's in the
Goes out of
slot.
play.
The puck is, it went to the point back down to the tops of the circles. Like,
I mean, I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to make sure that the guy can't get his stick down to, possibly get a deflection or help with the screen. But man, for me to call that, like, you got to be like pitchforking the guy.
I'm calling interference there just for the simple fact that it literally has there's no play.
I
to
guess
be
well,
had
because
there.
there's no real reason for him to even be doing.
There's zero. There's none. And I'm all for tying up the guy's stick. And you know what? If he goes to tip that shot and then you do it, fill your boots. Send that thing to the rafters for all I care. But he's standing in the slot. The puck's not gonna get shot because there's a guy in the shooting lane, and he just whips the stick away. And I don't know where it ended up, but it probably ended up either in the stands or right on the end boards. There's just no need for it.
I don't know, man. I think there needs to be more on that player whose stick got slashed out of his hands.
But how tight do you want me to hold my stick?
Tight enough to where you're holding on to it.
So you want me to be, but he is holding on to it.
Barely.
Obviously not. If you're holding onto your stick waiting for a tip like that, and somebody comes by and just karate chops your stick up, you're probably letting it go.
I don't know, man.
Because I would be like, what the hell?
I'd be yelling at the guy. I'd be motherfucking him to hold on to his stick.
See, I'm calling interference.
That's
one of those great, because if it's in a puck battle and the guy flips his stick up, I'm hoping that thing goes to the rafters, because that's just hey, hold on to your stick at that point. You're in a battle. Yeah. But the fact that you're standing in the slot
I think
doing
it's the
nothing,
same thing.
I just don't have any hockey play there.
Yeah.
He's trying to take him out of the play because Washington's on the penalty kill. Mm-hmm. So now I think it was Chara too that flipped the stick. So now,
of course then you can't call it because it's Chara.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm so strong, right?
Yeah. Honestly, it's a strength thing, and I don't think you can penalize strength.
But I think at a certain point, it's not a strength thing.
And it wasn't violent enough for me.
He's trying to gain the advantage of, oh, now this guy doesn't have a stick. So now we're playing 4-on-4.
I get it.
So, look, especially as a linesman, if a referee sees that and no calls it, I'll back him all day long. If a referee calls it, I would back him too and be like, it was interference.
Okay, so on that clip, I'm okay with either thing. I'm okay with a penalty, and I'm okay with not calling a penalty. I'm just telling you what I would do. I would motherfuck the player, hold on to your goddamn stick.
You know what would be great?
And that'd be the end of it for me.
You know what would be great is if we were four-manning, you're the low guy there, and you're motherfucking him, and then you look over at me and my arm's in the air for the interference, and you're like,
well, then I'd motherfuck you. Go fuck yourself. We're picking up the flag. And the face-off's right there.
Oh, I mean, it's looking down the slot. As the high guy, I'm looking straight down the slot there.
I know.
That would be hilarious, though. You're just motherfucking them, and here I am, just I got interference.
So, moving on to the next one, the elbow or a head contact. Either.
Yeah, okay, so...
Now, I would say there's a case to be made here for a major game. Or
yeah.
Because if you watch 16's reaction... He's got no clue where he is. So even though he stayed on his feet and there was no injury, I'm sorry, you're gone. You are not playing hockey at that point. The puck's gone and it's Tom Wilson. Bye. Get off my ice. Don't come back. Smell you later.
I get he's going to finish the check, but why have
finishing the check there?
Exactly. Whoever finishes a check extending up before you make the hit.
Yeah, no, that's not finishing a check. That is as I had to explain to a coach this weekend, because one of my partners used the term punishing hit.
Mm-hmm.
I had to explain to a coach, is look, here's the deal. The purposes of a body check shall be limited to separating a player from the puck. That is the goal of body check. That's it. It's not to intimidate. It's not to punish. It's not to hurt. If any referees that are out there that are not calling at body checking that way, that's the way you should be doing. It is the purpose of a body check is to only separate a player from the puck. Now, if a player has a guy lined up and he just got rid of it and he finishes his check and it's clean, as long as it's not excessively late, I'm okay with it.
Yep.
If it's excessively late, then we're getting and you'll know it could be a different amount of time each time. It could be right away. It could be, a half a step, whatever. But, finishing they always bitch, oh, well, we can't finish our checks. I'll let you finish your checks if it's clean and if it's immediate. Because at least when I started out in the first part of my officiating career, you were always considered in possession and control of the puck, even after you released it until your teammate got it.
Yep.
So you're still finishing the check there. But on this hit, that's not finishing the check. That's not using a body check to separate a player from the puck. That is an intimidating hit. That's a high hit. That's straight to the head. Gone. There's no place in our game for that hit.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I said head contact, and I'm going 5-game, I think head contact's an easier sell here in the game report because you can say recklessly hit the head.
Yeah.
Well,
and two,
if I'm in the rule book.
If you look at it, it's shoulder to head.
Yep.
Initial point. And two, we got to think about where's the initial point of contact.
It was his chin.
So right then and there, and I tell coaches this all the time. They're like, oh, that one's head contact. Coach, where was the initial point of contact? Well, his chest. Did he drive up through? Yeah. In the NCAA rulebook, can I give an indirect contact to the head penalty? Yeah. Am I going to? Maybe. Depends on if that player's pissing me off or, if he's been a jackass the whole game or if it really warrants it. But we're looking for initial point of contact. We're looking for, does he drive through him? Does he lower the shoulder trying to make a trunk on trunk hit and then accidentally get him in the head? There's all these things that come into play when we're judging a hit like this. And two, we're also at the point in the game now, and I'm very happy with this, is the fact that if we see a hit that we just don't like, that's dangerous, we can put our arm up.
And USA wants that. At least down here.
USA Hockey for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Why'd you call that, coach? That's a bad hit. What do you mean? Well, he didn't intend to separate him from the puck. He intended to punish him. The guy was in a vulnerable position. He was off the boards. It was open ice with his head. There's so many things that you can tell a coach or a player on why you're calling that penalty. But we are now at the point where if you don't like a hit, if you're just like, man, I am not okay with how he hit that guy, you can put your arm up in the air, call a penalty, be like, yo, you can't hit a guy like that. And I couldn't tell you how many calls I've made over the last couple of years since we've kind of gotten to this point in the game where I don't like the hit, throw my arm in the air, call a rough or whatever. And guys like, why'd you call a penalty there? I'm like, dude, you can't hit a guy like that. Well, what do you want me to do? Try to either separate him from the puck, or if he doesn't have the puck, don't hit him.
Yeah.
Not hard.
No, this Wilson one, though, I think I'm
sorry, Wilson, I can't stand him. I think he's a dirty hockey player, and I don't like to use that term on a lot of players, but he just rubs me the wrong way.
Yes. I mean, I don't disagree. I like the style of his game, but sometimes he does cross the line.
Great, but if you're going to go around hitting guys like that, you don't need to be out there.
Exactly. He is probably,
and he does it all the time.
Yep. He crosses the line quite a few times. The only issue with this play in full speed, you almost miss it because the Ranger player collides into the defenseman for the Capitals. And then if I'm seeing this in full time as a referee, I'm going, okay, maybe their heads just collided.
Yeah.
Maybe Wilson actually got him in the chest.
If you look at Wilson, how far away he is, you could even give a major for charging, for distance traveled. Like, we don't even think about the 3 quick steps. If a guy skates 10 feet, 15 feet to come across the ice and hit a guy, I'm giving you a charge just for the fact that you skated 15 feet out of your way to hit this dude.
Yeah, I mean, I am all for somebody calling a 5-game head contact here. And if I'm a higher up, like, I would support that because, hey, it looks like he got him in the head. He had no attempt to come low. His elbow swung up just ever so slightly.
Well, and it's one of those things too. Now with video and supplemental discipline and all that, if you have a hit that you don't like and a guy either gets hurt or injured or you think he's out on his feet, like that guy on the Rangers, I think it was Dylan Strome.
Mm-hmm.
He was standing there like
he had that stand and then the head down and just like, holy shit, where am I?
I have no problem telling anybody, referee, linesman, doesn't matter. If you see a play like that and you go 5-game or 5 DQ or 5 EJ, whatever rule book you're using, I have no problem with that because at the end of the day, we're giving the kid the major. He's out of the hockey game. And because he got the major, the league's now going to review it and they're going to determine whether or not he should be suspended for more or not suspended at all. And at that point, you've done your job because he's not in the hockey game anymore and you don't have to worry about him. Getting him out of the game too obviously settles down the team that got hit. And then from there, hey, that's the league issue. I'm just doing my job as a referee. Don't be afraid to call major penalties. If you see a major, if you're a linesman, you see a major, you go over, hey, I got a major for this. Because that's what happened in my game Saturday, my first game Saturday. Referee was kind of blocked out of it. Kid comes in, just boom, head first from behind the boards. Whistle blows, like, I don't know, like 30 seconds later, if that, or 15, 20 seconds, whatever. You kind of, time feels like it's longer than it is when a hit like that happens. I immediately skate over to the guy ref and I'm like, hey, Jake, he's got to go. 14. He's done. No questions asked, major game or major DQ. Sorry. Okay. That was it. Bye. Cool. See ya. So don't be afraid to call major penalties. Just don't.
And especially on plays like this, get together with everybody, talk about it. If somebody says, yeah, it's a major, okay, like that's cool. Let's call the major because especially in leagues that can review it, like, look, if the league looks at it and says, maybe not a major game, cool, that's fine. Kid comes back, plays the next game.
Yep, exactly.
But what it does is it settles everything down, and especially in leagues that can fight. So I'm thinking junior hockey here. In leagues that can fight, you keep him in the game, you're going to have an utter shit show of kids trying to kill him.
Yep.
And so taking him out of the game for the night, even if he comes back, if he does this Friday night, comes back Saturday.
At least they forgot about it a little bit.
Yeah, like, cool. Like, we can answer the bell Saturday night. I'm A-okay with that. But, like, there's no need to on Friday.
And, two, when you see a hit like that as a linesman, you're putting your whistle in your pocket. You're like, all right, let's freaking go.
Somebody's dying.
Somebody's going to die. You got to answer the bell for it.
Yeah. Amazingly, nobody did on the Rangers.
Different game in the NHL.
I mean,
now.
The only guy they have that could really fight is Lemieux.
Yeah.
And I think he was actually sussied that game, so wouldn't be surprised. Moving on, the next play we have is Buffalo and the Devils.
Yeah, let me watch it.
Yeah, it's one of those ones. So puck battle is on the half wall. Two guys are going into center ice and collide.
Oh,
the only thing I have is the Buffalo guy looks like he sticks his elbow out. But is that because of the contact from the hit, or is that because he saw the hit coming and was like, I can take advantage of this play?
I'd be okay with either, depending on where you are in your view of it, I'd be okay with either no call for a collision, because that's very easily what it could have been, or a major penalty for interference.
And that's the issue. You're either calling a major there or nothing.
I know. Personally, if I see something like that, I'm taking the temperature of the hockey game. You're kind of taking into account the two players. First glance, looking at it right there, I'm going major interference. It's one of again, we want to get stuff like that out of the game. Now, granted, that could have been a complete and utter collision, and that stuff does happen.
Mm-hmm.
But just looking at the clip, major interference, potentially a game misconduct or a DQ.
So, I mean, the Devils player is clearly not looking up ice.
Yeah.
There's no point to be. And the Buffalo player's cutting across to hopefully,
Now,
be an outlet to break out the zone.
let's keep in mind, though, in this video clip, you don't get, obviously, the whole feel of the ice.
No.
So, like, as the back referee there, maybe I'm tracking the Buffalo player, and he's looking this way. Oh, shit, I just ran into somebody?
Mm-hmm.
That's a collision. Whereas if I'm the back referee and I see that Buffalo player and he's turning, okay, he's got his eyes on that Devils player and then hits him and then turns away, then that's what we're calling that major. But if it's just a pure like, oh, I'm looking over here and I don't see him and they just run into each other, I don't think you can call it.
I agree. If it's collision, we can't call it. The only thing that is selling me that it's not a collision is the slight little elbow jab from the Buffalo player.
Yeah.
Telling me that, okay, he knew there was going to be contact there.
Yeah. And
I mean, if you're skating across the ice, you'll see the contact coming.
Yeah. So I would say, either major interference, game misconduct, head contact, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, 5-game head contact. Or
do you know what was called?
I don't. I can look it up probably really quick. But no, it's one of those ones where, and it really sucks, is you either have a major game for head contact or you say, hey, coach, it's a collision.
Yeah.
And if you're calling that a collision, like, oh boy.
Yeah. We'll just kind of move on forward. I got a clip that I want to talk about something that happened in one of my games this weekend.
Let's do it.
I would screen share the clip, but we're going to add that in after. So basically, got a minute left in the hockey game. It's 5-4 for the away team, or I'm sorry, 6-5 for the away team. A little bit of a scramble at the net. So like I said, away team's up by a goal, and the defenseman for the away team decides to cross-check the home team player in the numbers, head first in the goalpost. His head didn't hit the goalpost, his shoulder did. Either way, I would have been very easily justified in calling a major game or major DQ check from behind because it was into the goalpost, which obviously USA Hockey, head first in the boards of the goalpost, automatic, no questions asked. However, I took the temperature of the game and the 5 wasn't really warranted there, so I gave a minor cross check. I think the funniest part about this whole deal, as far as the communication aspect goes, so I call the penalty, get the kid in the box. I'm skating by. Coach is going nuts. So I go over. I said, absolutely, there is no chance that that's a legal play at any point in this game or any other hockey game I'll ever work. You can't hit a guy from behind into the net. You just can't. You want to read the rule book? I'll go get it for you. You literally, it says in the rule book, from behind into the goalpost.
Verbatim.
Automatic penalty.
Yep.
Automatic. Just like going head first in the boards. And then he said something back at me, and I looked up at him, and little did he know that we did a little research in between periods on where he played. The guy played in the coast. He'd get like 3-4 points a season and like 200 penalty minutes.
Hey, everybody's got their role.
So I look at this guy, I'm like, dude, you spent enough time in the penalty box in your career to know what is and isn't a penalty. And his jaw drops, and he's like, and then just shakes his head at me. And I skated away.
Because at that point, he's like, well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, he's right. He got me. So then, of course, the home team ties the game with 5 seconds left.
As they should.
And then they went in overtime, 15 seconds into overtime. So
lovely.
It was what a game though. It was, so the away team goes up 2-0. Then the home team makes it 3-2. Then the away team makes it 4-3. Then it goes 5-3, and then it goes 6-5, and then it goes 6-6, 7-6. It was
So
a
you-
wild hockey game, and it was a lot of fun to work.
So you might as well just make it first to 10.
I should have. I should have been like, hey, no, we're playing to 10.
First till 10 wins.
Yep. Take it out past the blue line.
Yeah, right. So moving back to the hit that we were just talking about, I looked it up. There was no penalty on the play, so
No
obviously,
penalty, so they called it a collision.
yeah. Which look, I mean, yeah,
Well, again,
I'd buy it.
the angle that they had, that's what we're gonna say it is.
Yeah.
So,
We have one last clip I want to talk about, and it is the Ryan Reeves hit in the outdoor game. It would have been in the first period because it was nice and sunny.
9 hours later.
I mean, that's a whole nother thing, right?
Okay, so I have a question.
Okay.
I don't want to throw anyone at the 3-letter league under the bus. But who thought it would be a good idea to play during the day with a very dark colored logo at center ice?
Okay, I was thinking the same thing.
The second I saw it, and then when they were done with the anthems and the guy was working on the blue line, I was like, this is going to be an adventure.
I was thinking
then
the
to
exact
see-
same thing.
To see a referee and a player both skating over the logo at the same time and fall, I'm like, okay, we got a problem here.
Okay, but that
And then
made
I'm
me
like,
laugh.
okay, well, maybe they'll just put down some white, seal it over, and be done with it. And nope, they brought out the tarps. We had a little rain delay.
It was funny though. It made me laugh because like the ref fell over, skating over, like I believe it was the dot almost, like the
Yeah.
neutral zone dot. And then the player kind of looked at him and kind of did the haha and then ate shit too. And like you could see the ref look up like, yeah, karma, eh? Like,
Yep.
but it was one of those things where okay, first off, thankfully they did delay the game because somebody's getting a torn ACL.
Yeah, someone's getting hurt.
But it was absolutely
Did they stop the game at that point? when
No,
both
they
teams
played the
out?
first period out.
Oh, they played the rest of the period.
So they
Okay.
played the whole first period, and then they were like, "Hey, you know what? Like this definitely isn't
They're
safe."
like, hey, Eddie Ochek and like, oh god, what was the other guy's name? Mike Tirico.
Yes,
So hey, Tirico and Olchek, fill the next 2 hours.
yeah, like please, because we don't know what to do.
Yep.
But no, it was.
And then we got to drop the puck at
Oh.
midnight.
That was insane when they announced 9 p.m. I was like, "Why don't they do it at like 8?"
Yeah.
Because it was cold enough. Like,
No, I think it was more of a TV thing than anything else.
Oh, 1000%. They didn't want to do any games away. But it was funny, though, the first period watching. Like, thankfully, nobody got hurt. But it was funny watching NHL players and officials fall like they were mites.
Yeah.
Like, they were just skating all of a sudden. Oh, no. Here we go.
You know the wee sound on TikTok right now? The wee,
Yeah,
wee. That was them.
that really was.
So
Back
that
to the
hit,
Revo
I
hit,
had
though,
a head
really quick.
contact.
You
I
had
didn't
what?
like it. The hit?
Yeah.
Wasn't that the head contact one?
No, that was the CFB.
Oh,
Check from behind. I mean, look.
I mean, it's let's be honest, it's Ryan Reeves. Like,
And it was a check from behind.
yeah.
I don't know where he came from, but look, youth hockey all day long, 210, you could probably sniff at a 5
Honestly,
game.
no. On that, look at the whiplash on his head.
You would go 5
That's a
game right
5
off
in
the
a
bat.
game.
Off the bat.
Yeah, I wouldn't even think 210 there.
I'm
Just
okay with
because
that.
of how his head whipped back.
Yeah, I mean, juniors, pros, maybe a minor.
That Ryan Reeves hit, not a penalty in pro hockey unless, we're going from behind into the boards. Obviously, pro hockey too, like you got to think the onus is on the player giving the hit as well as the player receiving the hit, not to put themselves in a vulnerable position. However, that's not necessarily the case in junior or youth hockey. That play in youth hockey all day long is either a 2 and a 10 or a 5 in a game. Personally, with the whiplash that you see in the clip, I could justify going 5 game in a youth game for it. Mm-hmm. Granted, he doesn't go into the boards. It is open ice, but just how much his neck whipped back, you don't know what kind of damage could be done there. So from the aspect of youth hockey, if if you even have to think, oh, is that a 5 in a game or is that a 2 in a 10? I have no issue with guys giving out 5 in games for stuff like that. That just gets back on the thought process of if you see a major penalty, you call a major penalty. Don't try to come up with a way to get around it. So that's what I have there.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Pro hockey, maybe not a penalty. But as far as USA, Hockey Canada, double IHF, whatever, you're probably looking at a 5 game. Juniors, I mean, 2 for check from behind, maybe 210.
Is there still the double minor EJ for check from behind? Isn't it?
No, you either have a 210 or 5 game.
Okay, so the double minor EJ is gone.
Correct.
Gotcha.
So that is all I have to talk about, though, for this week. I mean, I guess past 2 weeks we made up for it. This was a super long episode, which is awesome because we haven't had to chat in 2 weeks. But we will be back next week, same time. So
same bat time, same bat channel.
Yep. And I mean, Reese and Cameron will both be on the podcast next week again.
Perfect.
So everybody, thank you to our amazing sponsors, SIG Hockey, ACME Whistles. We now have Hockey Ref Shop. Thank you to all 3 of those. And as always, guys, have a great and safe week.